Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Herd Fit Podcast with Dr. Sam Marie and myself, Coach David Syvertson. This podcast is aimed at helping anyone and everyone looking to enhance their healthy lifestyle through fitness, nutrition, and most importantly, mindset. All right, welcome back to the Herd Fit Podcast. I am here with two very special guests here. I'm here with the coaches from PWR Nutrition, spelled PWR, with Kelly Cavan on the upper side of it and Kayla below us. Ladies, what's up? How are you? You're both at the gym right now, which is really cool. How's it going, Kel?
It's going well. Just
did you work out?
Got a little sneak peek of the Bison benchmark this morning.
How was it?
I actually really enjoyed it.
Good.
I really enjoyed it.
All right. So Christine will enjoy it as well. All right. Kayla, how are you? What's going on? What'd you do this morning?
Lovely. I covered open gym. So, saw Kelly there. She was grinding through a workout.
I want to share a text we got from someone, open gym. He goes, "It amazes me and impresses me how many people come to open gym on a Sunday." It was crowded this morning.
It was really crowded.
Yeah, it was.
I actually had to back out of the parking lot and find a different spot. I was surprised, but it's always a good vibe for a Sunday morning.
Yeah. So ladies, what we're going to do today is we're going to really formally introduce PWR Nutrition. It's already been launched. We're about a month in. It's been in the works for months, pretty much all summer. We started really talking about this in the spring. Both of you have respective experience coaching athletes and different kinds of people through nutrition. And you guys are kind of coming together as one, which is awesome. I think you guys are great personalities, exclusive, but I also think together you balance each other out really well. And I'm excited for the future of PWR Nutrition because of who you guys are. And I want to start this off with just kind of introducing who you guys are to people that may not know you or may only know you at the gym as very fit women and very strong individuals, both in and out of the gym. So, I want to sort of, what is your connection to nutrition? Why do you feel this is a purpose that you have inside of you, Kel, to really take it on yourself to start coaching people through nutrition? Where did this come from?
So I have 3 kids who are now 9, 12, and 14, but I started CrossFit back when my 9-year-old, right after she was born. And I spent so much of my younger life trying to be smaller. And when I started CrossFit, I realized that in order to improve, you really needed to be eating the right things and oftentimes eating more than you thought. And so I also always ended up kind of restricting and then ending up right back where I started. So I decided to work with a nutrition coach to really find out how much I could eat and maintain my weight. And I had a good idea of what those foods were. But I also learned that the makeup of what those foods are, and learned how to count macros to really improve on my fitness. And over the course of 3 months, we were able to build and find like a really nice range for me to sit at and feel fueled and improve at the gym. And then in the rest of my life, managing a family to get through the day. And it really motivated me to want to work with people who probably were in the same boat as me growing up in the diet culture that we did, to learn the benefits of fueling your body, eating more, how much you really can eat and don't realize, to fuel your performance, but also just your day-to-day life. Mm-hmm. And so I started coaching to kind of carry that knowledge on for other people as well.
That's awesome. I have felt for a long time that the best coaches are the ones that get inspired from being coached at some point. They see the difference and they don't just want to take that in. They want to give that back out. So I think that's a really cool, we call it CrossFit start story, but your coaching start story. I think that's awesome, Kel.
It sounds a little cheesy, but it really, for having had that mindset about food my whole life, it took so much of the time I put into thinking about food every day in a not great way, and helped me to just see it from such a healthier perspective. And so I just wanted to, I know so many women in particular around me feel the same way, and I wanted to pass that along.
Yeah. And Kayla, your background is different than both of us. You went the education route. You went to school for this. Like, you are a very well-educated person with all the science and everything behind it, where did that come from for you?
Yeah, I think similar to Kelly, I grew up like high school athlete, but active dancer. So you have like the like performance side of things, but also like looks and how you look like on a stage too. Combine that with like being on like a lacrosse field. So you have performance, but also like aesthetics as well. So we also grew up in a time where like you were praised for being smaller, and you were praised for like that stick thin like look. And I remember like sitting in the lunchroom thinking like there's got to be more than just like romaine lettuce and carrots. Like that's what I was eating as like I wanted to make like a shift for like my health, but like also at the same time I just didn't know how and what to do. So fast forward, I knew I wanted to be an athletic trainer, like as a career, but I was tying in nutrition for like a personal void, but also this like athletes would come up to me saying like, what do I eat? When do I eat? How do I fuel? What's the best timing? And I didn't have answers. So I went on to get a master's in nutrition, and I tied in the like eating for injury and inflammation was like the start of it, but that mushroomed into like I'm also fueling myself. I'm also learning more and taking this into like my workouts as an athlete too. So it combined like the professional and the personal journey, and we wound up here. And I think it's shifting though. CrossFit has done a really great job of like, muscles are cool. I think we're finally past that. But yeah, so just trying to shift that into like you can fuel for performance, but also feel your best too.
So you both have shared, and thank you for sharing some personal stories and backgrounds of really what got you into this, whether it's self-image issues, body image, that diet culture that Kelly mentioned. How much of that do you feel inspired power instead of really going to knowing that there's so many people, not just women out there, but I do think women in CrossFit have changed the landscape of fitness. I've said this a million times, more than any group of people in fitness and the fitness industry history, women specifically, because like, as Kayla said, well, like muscles are cool now. They're attractive now, but to get that and to really lift weights at high intensity, there's a fueling purpose behind it. You can't just work hard at the gym. And we've seen people that do that over and over. Even to this day, they think that working hard at the gym is all they need to do. When you look back on not just your personal experience, but just listening, I think one of the great traits that both of you have are you're great listeners. Like you are really in tune with what people are telling you. And because of that, you're good at what you do, and you're going to be good at this. And no matter what you guys do, you're going to be great at it. And I think that's a key reason why. Can you touch on what some things you have heard from people, women and men, because you guys do work with both. Let's put that out there. We've talked about women a lot so far, but you guys work with men. I've worked with both of you individually. I know other men that have worked with you and are working with you. What have you heard that kind of inspire this into, hey, this should be something. We should be doing this. What are some things you've heard, Kel, from just people that are kind of common denominators?
I think there's so much emphasis nowadays, which is a good thing, on women building muscle and how important that is for aging. And our population at Bison is a lot of women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and men who we lose muscle mass and we lose bone mass as we age. And so being here and lifting weights and getting our muscles under tension is really important. I think that fueling that is really important, but I think there's also an element where you get a little of like, I don't want to get bulky. You hear that all the time. And I think there's a motivation there to show people that it takes a lot of work to get bulky. People work really hard for a really long time, and that the aesthetic that most people are looking for, you get by lifting heavier weights and building that up. And so I think that fueling that properly, or even helping people with their fat loss goals, but then working them up to what their maintenance number is. If you can take some time in a deficit to lose the weight that you want to lose, but then you have to maintain it by eating a certain number of calories a day. And so you can't live in a deficit. It's not fun to live in a deficit, but there's multiple phases to reaching your goals, and that we can support all of that versus people going into a deficit, hitting, their goal, and then where do you go from there? And so it's also like developing the habits that support those goals, that translate no matter what phase they're in.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I also think it's like, well, I'm like grinding like so hard in the gym and I feel like I'm not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, whether you're, working really hard at a fitness goal and you're like performing at a high level CrossFit athlete, or just the health side as well. Like the everyday person that just wants to come and get their sweat on. I often like find that people aren't eating enough. They aren't eating like the right proportions of things. And they're like, well, I don't know, like I've tried everything. Like I'm eating super, super clean. But I hear like once we start to break it down, it's like, well, like if you've done this for so long and you haven't changed any part of your routine, like nothing is going to change. You have to change something or some part of your routine to actually like see a difference or see a change.
Right.
You might not actually notice, or you might not actually realize what you're doing wrong to get there. So like we've both been on that side before. So it's helpful to get some like non-biased feedback to say like, okay, let's change these things.
Right. And what that kind of brings me to like the principles of power, like, performance, wellness, results, right? Now, Kay, like build off of some of these conversations that we just started opening the door to, communication and teamwork and support and understanding. That is like the backbone of the relationship that you have with clients.
Yeah.
And that communication. What do you guys want to hear in these, whether it's emails, a text, a phone call, based on when you communicate with your clients? What is that you really want to hear? Not just the, highlights only social media world, like the nitty gritty, because I think that is where all these little details, the devil's in the details always, like that is where the progress is going to be found or lost. Like those little things that we overlook. What are some things that you guys have seen as coaches? And Kay, I'll start with you, that have really helped you help someone help themselves, right? Because they're honest with you about something. What are some of those communication tactics and actual things that you've heard?
So when someone is really, really honest, I think that's the only way it works. And oftentimes we wind up talking about like other habits, not even related to food.
Yeah.
It's like, what's going on in your day? Like, how is your family member X, Y, or Z? How did that impact your nutrition? Like, we're not therapists, but at the same time, like you have other things going on in your life that significantly impact your habits. I want to know about those. I want to know about, I'm not feeling great. I'm in a rut. Like I keep overeating on the weekends. Tell me that. Like, I want to know not just the highs, because the lows is where like we gain growth and progress. I think that's like where it's important to have that personalization and to have that accountability with someone checking in on you. I think goes a really long way. So connecting with them, not just on a like, yeah, I checked your log, but also like, how do you feel? How are your energy levels?
Yeah.
Like you could log a perfect day and a perfect macro, let's say, panel on your food log, but your workouts might still feel like shit. Like, let's talk about it.
Cal.
Yeah, I agree. I think what's going on in your personal life has a ton of impact. And I think that a lot of people feel very vulnerable around their food and what they're eating, and having that looked at. If someone's looking over your shoulder, you're definitely more likely to make better choices or just not include them. So it's really important to know that like Kayla and I aren't judging you. We're not poring over your diary every day and, making notes on the things you're doing wrong. It's really a collaborative effort to know that like Kayla said, like you might have a perfect day, but you didn't sleep all night long, or you have something really stressful going on at work or with one of your kids. We're all super busy. So I think where I get a lot from my clients is when they say, not like, what do I eat? How do I eat? It's, this is what my day looks like, and I'm really struggling to get a healthy lunch. What do you recommend in terms of planning that lunch versus what I'm eating? And it's kind of just helping support the habits that support the nutrition, whether it's meal prep or meal services or eating leftovers. There's a lot of ways to troubleshoot the challenges that come with supporting the good nutrition. So it's not just what you're eating, it's how to make sure that you have that available to you throughout the day and throughout the week.
See, it's funny. Here we are talking nutrition, and we really have barely talked about food quality yet. We've talked about macros, and what I think the value that the two of you add in a nutrition coach, a good nutrition coach, will have is it's not just the macros. It's not just what you're eating. There needs to be a level of understanding from the coach's perspective that this problem that someone's trying to solve or this goal that they're trying to obtain goes way deeper than how much broccoli and pizza they're eating. Yeah. And that's why some of these conversations, I've seen Kayla in the gym for a nutrition meeting from like 6:30 to 9. And like, she's like texting me, like, I'm leaving. I'm like, I'm showered in my pajamas. Like, you're checking on the security camera to make sure everything's okay. And like, she's still there. And I want to give kudos to both of you because you're good at that. And in some ways it could actually be overwhelming for you, but they say you should never lie to your doctor and you should never lie to your lawyer. I'm going to throw nutrition coaches in there as well, because if you're paying for a service that you're supposed to get results on, you need to, quote, admit, right, or be fully honest with, yes, the late night snack that you can't get away from, the dessert that you just can't, that you're almost addicted to. But beyond that, there's a personal side to this that probably contributes, really deep down issues that contributes to eating issues that you can't get away from, either eating too much or eating too little. And you really need to be an open book to a nutrition coach if you really think you're going to get to those results. And I can't think of two women or people in general that I would be more willing to share personal stuff with Kelly and Kayla, because they're not judgmental. They're not going to put you in a tier and go talk about you with your friends. And I think that's something that everyone needs to know that's on the fence or considering working with both of these women here, is that they come at your conversations judgment free. And when you know that, it's a lot easier to be honest. And I think that's really important that you guys have. Now, with that said, there are different approaches. There are, like, I've worked with both of you guys. You guys are different a little bit in good ways. And just like building a CrossFit coaching staff or an Outlast coaching staff, you don't want everyone to be the same. You want to have like weird guy over there with the music. You want to have the overly intense cheerleader. You want to have the quiet stoic coach, right? You want to have it all. Kel, where do you think you set yourself apart? What makes you different? I know it's hard to talk about yourself, but you're going to have to do it. All right. What do you think? What are you proud of when it comes to your approach with how you work with clients?
I think from a place of relatability for a lot of my clients who are parents or just with their busy schedules and the need for getting rid of the idea of perfection. So like when I work with clients and they, are super stressed, or they have kids and they're so busy trying to feed their kids that they aren't thinking about themselves, or they're eating off their kids' plates. I think that what I try to do every single week when I work with someone is really capitalize like what they did well. And they'll come to me and say, I had a really bad week. I know I didn't track. I know I didn't, eat all the things that I was supposed to, but, did you drink enough water every day? Did you get to the gym 4 days a week? And I try to just say, it's the low hanging fruit. It takes time. I have a client I've worked with now for almost 18 months. And when I look at the way she started and how negative she was and how frustrated she was that for 3 or 4 months she wasn't losing weight, she wasn't, and it just, but every week she did a little bit more. Every week she got a little more protein into her diet. She started lifting heavier weights at home. She started meal prepping, and then all of a sudden it came together and it just started to roll. And then now she's at maintenance. And we check in every week, and it's just sometimes she needs a little push, and sometimes she just needs to be reminded that it's okay that you went out to dinner both nights this weekend. That's balance. That's life. We don't live in a vacuum. It's really important to know that, like, you can't look at the day to day as much as the weeks and the months, that these meals mean less when you zoom out and look at it as your lifestyle versus, just a week in a deficit, a month in a deficit, versus trying to obtain your goal while you live your normal life. So it's just kind of reminding people of the things they're doing well, with little tips each week to kind of like move more towards those goals and habits, and just being patient and giving it months and not weeks.
Yeah. I want to talk about time at some point. I keep writing it down. We're keeping notes over here, and that like keeps coming up, like time, the commitment. Kayla, what are some things that you've been doing this a long time now? You've been thinking about doing this for a long time. Went to school for. What is something that you feel like can set you apart as a nutrition coach?
Sure. Set me apart there are so many things that I want to get into, but I think just experience with athletes, like I've worked the last 8 years, as an athletic trainer, and having that like collegiate athlete experience and then adolescent athlete experience, just like over and over again, and like seeing how their nutrition directly impacts their performance and making those little tweaks. It definitely, like, I get both sides of like, I'm there like right on the sideline with them, or like, now I'm in a CrossFit class with them. So I see like the well-rounded athlete, as in like I get them at various different points of the day. So I wasn't just seeing them like 1 hour a day, once a week, like, or once a month. Like, I was able to see athletes at various points of the day, whether I was in a school, so it was in the classroom and on the field. And I think that helped me grow as a nutrition professional, because I was able to really connect with them and see like, all right, this isn't working for either their school lifestyle or their performance lifestyle, and like take that and package that up and translate that to like me now as like a CrossFit coach and nutrition coach, outside of like the adolescent teen world. But like even things like considering do you have other disease states going on or underlying conditions that might be interfering with your weight loss or nutrition? Like, let's look into that. Like, no, I'm not a doctor, but at the same time, there might be things that, you might not even notice, or you might not even have like, I don't know, thought of, that I think we can dive into, or that can set me apart. Now, like, just like Kelly said, I really rely on like consistency, small habits day to day over the course of a long period of time. And Dave, like you said, like that time frame really, it does matter and can sometimes scare people. Like when you're not budging for the first month, 2 months, maybe even 3 months sometimes too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and that's like a huge component to that. I want to get into that. Then the food portion of this is the timing. I say we talk about that now, because the timing to me, I don't want to speak for you guys, but I would assume not all, but many people will come to you because they have something coming up that they want to lose weight for. It could be summer, it could be a vacation, it could be a wedding, it could be a CrossFit sports season, from the athlete's perspective. And is there any level of, hey, got pump the brakes here? Like I don't want to crash diet someone for a month so that they can look, 6 pounds leaner on vacation next week or in 2 weeks. And then also the time component, that some of this, it's different for everyone. It takes a long time because some of this is habit breaking habits that have built up for years, decades in some cases. And to break those, that alone could take 3-4 months. Do you have, if I'm a client and I say, hey, Kelly, how long would you recommend I work for you if I am, the classic want to lose 10 pounds, want to lose some fat and put some muscle on, what's your answer if I say, how long should I work with you? Because I know there is no answer, but I want to know, what is your answer if I ask you that question?
I think at least 3 months.
Okay.
I think it takes that much time to just even get established and get to know one another and start setting goals, and you get out of it what you put into it. So if you're ready to hit the ground running, then, we're going to get farther in those 3 months than if you're kind of like half in, half out. You respond some weeks, you don't. So I think the timing does also depend on your commitment level. I don't think there's a bad time of year to start. I've had clients start on December 1st, and I almost think sometimes that's better because you learn with help how to navigate the holidays. Right. Instead of waiting till January 1st to start fresh, you're already there. Like you're well on your way to reaching those goals. You feel good that you have started to build the tools to get there. We all sometimes have a vacation or a birthday, but I think I speak for Kayla when I say neither of us are going to cut your calories dramatically to help you hit that goal. We're never going to sacrifice your health or what makes good practical sense to get you there. We want to build the tools to support your choices in support of your goals.
Yeah. The amount of times I've heard like, well, I'm going to start because like I'm traveling this week and I'm going to be home for a little, and then I'm traveling again for work the next week. And I'm like, there's always going to be something. You have to learn how to navigate through life when things are hard as well, or busy.
Yep.
Which also means you might see the scale jump, after a work trip, but we're also going to help give you the tools to manage the way you eat and maybe some tips on the airport, or, stay hydrated, where you can move or how you can get exercise. We can work you through those things, but that over the course of 3 months, or 6 months, a year, your weight loss, if that's your goal, is not linear. You're going to see ups and downs too, which is why it's important to put more time in to see those changes.
I think it's important that you said, I was hoping you would say something objective, 3 months. And like, I honestly, I agree with that number. And I think that's a minimum, to be honest with you. Like, I think it's a minimum of 3 months. And that's not to say that Kelly and Kayla are not going to work with you if you're in for a month or two. Like there's not a requirement of 3 months, but for you to get the most out of this, there's got to be a lot of back and forth, which takes time. And the only reason you're going to have it back and forth is the weeks go by and good things happen, bad things happen. You learn things, you need to be taught things. And 3 months is the starting point. And I really think if you want a real substantial change that can last and you learn so much from, that's what I like about working with nutrition coaches, is you learn a lot that you can take life lessons with you for forever. I think it's a half a year. Like I really feel like if you want to be all in on really trying to reshape your body and your mind's approach to food, you're going to have to go through a couple seasons of life. We all know our lives are different now than they are going to be in January and then in June. Like things are always changing around us. And I think that's a big part of hiring nutrition coaches, to go through those seasons with them, fail, get back up, get back on the train and go, fail again, get back on the train and go from there. And I think that's a big component to any client that is thinking about working with you guys, is how long can I really commit to the ups and downs of this? Now, more specifically on food, macros and food quality, where does that come into play? Because I'm looking at our Instagram, which I'll put in the link, but it's _PWR _nutrition. And one of the posts is pretty cool. It's a pyramid, and it kind of goes into the bottom of the pyramid is quality sleep, then it's energy balance, macronutrients, micronutrients, nutrient timing, supplements at the top, meaning, we'll get into supplements, but that is the final thing you're looking at. You can't use supplements to hide shortcomings elsewhere. But food quality and macros, there's a lot of different opinions on that. And again, it's not an answer for everyone. Some people get very stressed and overwhelmed when you make them count macros, or I've had people tell me it's created a quasi like eating disorder, counting macros. But I really do think you have to know how much you're eating. You got to know at some point. Kay, where do you stand on those two generally? And again, it'll be more specific based on the person, but food quality and macros, how deep into the woods do you go there?
I go far deep into the woods with each person, but I like generally you have to be in some sort of calorie deficit in order to lose weight, right? Yep. So that's how much you're eating and the quantities and the portions of like how much protein, carbs, and fat. That's important. If your goal is weight loss or even muscle gain, like mass gain, you need to be either eating enough for that or eating the right amount for that to be losing weight. So that's important. I almost wish they were like equal at the same time. Like it's really hard. Like when we were creating that chart, I go back and forth sometimes with some people because quality of food is also very important. And that's also how I practice is you can't out train a bad diet. There's going to be some point where there's going to be maybe a micronutrient deficiency pop up. And that's going to be just as important as how much you're eating as well. Yes, I believe that you should have flexibility and all foods fit into a healthy lifestyle, but there might be someone who is, I don't know, battling with an autoimmune condition or it could, I'm not even going to like, I don't know, maybe their thyroid or something. It could be anything. And like, now we're getting into like, well, organic versus not organic. Like, I do think these things matter. But I think the base is like how much you're eating first and learning that, and then tying in food quality, like in my next breath.
Okay. Yeah. And again, I know I'm not like, hey, this is your system. It has to be done X, Y, Z. Part of being coached is being flexible, but it is good to hear what you're like, just macro level, like where does your head go when you start saying, because I could tell right now you're looking like, all right, I've worked with these people and this worked for them. This didn't work for them, but that worked for them. This worked for them. And it's good to know that you have experience like juggling that back and forth.
Yeah. Like there's going to be people who are like, I'm not going near, I used to be like I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole actually. But I've had people say like, you know, I'm not eating bread. I'm not eating X, Y, or Z. And I'm like, okay, great. Like, let's figure out how to make you perform well or make you feel great while eating the things you can eat. And then I've had people say like, if I don't have like my nightly ice cream, I'm going to turn into a cell. Like, okay, that's your non-negotiable. Let's figure it out. Like,
and I think to that point, Kay, like sometimes people are like, I don't eat bread. And the question is why? Is it because you can't, or is it because you read something on Instagram? And so there's so much misinformation out there that I feel like we do spend some time trying to debunk a lot of that and simplify. Like there's so much out there that it makes the idea of eating healthy seem very overwhelming. And so if it comes down to like whole grains, lean proteins, fruits and vegetables, the more of that you eat, the more volume you can eat anyway, even in a deficit, because they come at a lower calorie cost, but much higher in macronutrients and micronutrients. And I just feel like we do spend a lot of time trying to shift people's mindset around certain things that they believe in order to simplify their approach. And that they're going to be okay.
I've had a few people send me this fun, like, you know, everyone that sends you something, it's, oh, Dave's never seen this before. I've had this sent to me like 20 times. I think I didn't watch a lot of like the funny cartoons growing up, but King of the Hill, I think it's about a guy, big guy, fat guy goes to a CrossFit gym. They're making fun of CrossFit a little bit. And the guy goes to the CrossFit trainer and he's like introducing himself. I want to join your gym and see what it's like. And the guy goes like, the CrossFit trainer is kind of being condescending and like, oh, well, you got to fix what you eat. Well, what should I eat? And the guy goes, well, I eat pizza. He goes, you can't eat pizza. He goes, why not? And that trainer, you could just tell, has no idea. He doesn't have the answer. Well, there's bread on it. He goes, so what's wrong with bread? And the guy's just like, he doesn't have these answers. And you've been conditioned to think that food is evil, that like good tasting pizza is evil. Ice cream is evil. You're going to be big. You're never going to look good if you eat that way. Can you guys touch on that a little bit? Because when I talk about food quality, we know like eating whole natural foods with simple ingredients, one ingredient, we know the paleo lifestyle, that is probably the most basic healthy way to eat, but that's not the only way to eat and get results that you want from a nutrition program. Do you guys ever get the question like, well, how often, Kay, can I have that ice cream? Can I have it 5 nights a week? Like, do you get asked those specific kind of questions? And what is your response to that?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I do get those questions. And my response is like, well, like, let's look at the rest of your day. Let's look at why you want the ice cream. Let's look at, is it like a need right now? Are you eating enough in your day, or are you craving something? So, maybe you're not eating enough carbs in the beginning of your day. Maybe you're not eating enough protein in the beginning of your day. Maybe it's not the ice cream that you're fixated on. Maybe it's just the volume of food in general. Like, there could be something lacking throughout your day. So I say, like, just hear me out. Let's try this. Let's try this first. Let's try to look at your day and maybe fill in the gaps first and see if you still want the ice cream, because there are some people who need like a hard, like, I need a swap. Like, I need something else. I got to get it out. And then there's some people who like, that's going to send them into a spiral of like, well, instead of eating the ice cream, they ate the peanut butter, the nuts, all of the other healthy, like diety, like packaged foods. And now they're in like a really big caloric, like they've gone over their
surplus
calories. Yeah. So they're in a surplus and they don't even know it.
Right.
So it's not as simple as like, well, I think you had me on like last, I don't know, a few years back, like back when you first had me on the podcast, the Herd Fit podcast. And I was like, well, like, I would say like, eat it every day if you want to.
Right.
And like, there is no right answer.
Right.
You can, but we might also go through a period where you're cutting it out too.
Yes. Kel.
I think it's a fine line, because you don't want to say to people like, don't eat it.
Right.
But some people, if you buy it, you're going to eat it. I cannot buy cereal. I will eat it by the bowl full, like multiple bowls. I can't buy cereal. If it's in your house, you're going to eat it. So maybe sometimes it's just don't buy it or have smaller portions, because I do think there's room for calorie dense foods because they're delicious, and sometimes you just do want that fix, or maybe it's something else that gives you that fix, like Kayla said, and you just have never tried it. Usually that's something I would try to ease into so that it's not like just cut it out. I always say, like, being in a calorie deficit, especially, you're going to be hungry. You're eating less than your body needs, and that's hard. So then it's managing the rest of your day. Like Kayla said, it's getting more protein when you're timing your meals so that you're managing that hunger a little bit better, and then not getting to the end of your day and being like, forget it, I'm eating the pint of ice cream. But I do think there's room for those things. I think that food represents a lot of other things beyond just your diet. It's family celebrating things. Sometimes you're just stressed and you need that comfort, but it's learning how to have a couple, pour yourself a bowl of ice cream and walk away. And so it's like, again, those tools around managing how you're incorporating those foods into your diet.
Yeah. It just comes down to, it's like lifestyle and discipline kind of meshing together. And that's where I think it's in everything in moderation is fine. You could say that about CrossFit, right? If you do too much of it, bad things happen, right? If you drink too much, bad things happen, but we're not telling you not to drink. And the discipline component is where this is a 50-50 relationship between the client and the customer. If anything, it might be more on the client. The coach is there to kind of open the door to where you want to be, but you're the one that has to walk through it. And that's where the discipline takes over. And I know that, like, I've had good stretches and really bad stretches with my nutrition and my lifestyle and my sleep and my drinking, right? And I've never gotten to a point where it's like it's someone else's fault. Like, at the end of the day, you do have to accept it's a major responsibility to try to be as disciplined as possible and be very aware of what you're doing. And I've noticed that when I have more free time, right, that is when I usually go off the rails a little bit, where I kind of lose track. If I'm home a lot, like Kelly said, there's snacks here, it's getting eaten at some point, right? So if I'm home a lot, I'm not working, or I'm kind of being lazy for whatever reason, that usually adds to a lot of the lack of discipline, where other people, they use being busy as their stressor. And when they're stressed out, they want to eat. Some people drink, some people work out, some people eat to solve stress. And that's a big part of lifestyle discipline. And I think it really helps to have someone that will listen to you, right? As connected as we are with social media now, we are a generation we are as disconnected from other people as we've ever been in the history, because we spend so much time on computers and tablets and phones thinking that we're connected, but we're really not. We don't have as a lot of conversations with people. We listen less, and we get to express ourselves less verbally, looking someone in the eye. And I think that's where having a nutrition coach can really help you out beyond food quality and macros. Like Kelly and Kayla, like, they're going to knock it out of the park with helping you out with food quality and macros. They could probably talk your ear off on those two topics, but them listening to all the other lifestyle and discipline shortcomings that you might have, I think that's going to be the secret sauce to the results that you can get from this program. And I want to talk about Power. I want to talk about the program a little bit. There's 2 levels right now. There's level 1, which is a little bit more in-depth, a little bit more communication, more access to these coaches. And there's level 2, which is a little less, but they're still working with you specifically. Kelly, tell me, level 1, you get a little bit more like a monthly meeting and weekly check-ins via email.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is where I think that's the best bang for your buck, because a lot of bad can happen in a month if I don't hear. I mean, you get that weekly check-in. When I worked with you, that weekly check-in was in my mind all week. And it was, hey, don't disappoint my coach, right? It was, don't embarrass myself, to be honest with you. It was a pride thing, some of it. Show her that I can be a disciplined adult. Still trying to prove that to Ashley. But where do you think the value of level 1 of, like, it's a little extra money, but at the end of the day, it's a little bit more communication, which I think really is going to come down to, that's the basis of this.
I think it's just that the questions that Kayla and I send to you are meant to help you reflect on your week. As we mentioned before, not just what went on nutritionally, but what went on personally, because that's really important to combine with how you were eating or how you were feeling, and where then some of your challenges came, where you felt like you did well, and where you, looking ahead to the week in advance, might have some challenges that you want our support and strategy in how to approach. Maybe it's a dinner out or a birthday or traveling. I think the biggest thing I can say is, like, you get out of it what you put into it. So like, when we send these questions, if you respond with 1-word answers, we can help and kind of just give you a general response. But the more you give us, the more we can help support you. And then there's also an in-body scan to start.
Yep.
And then intermittently throughout to just track your progress as well, physically.
Yeah. And so that's like that level 1, that's that top tier. Level 2, it's a little cheaper because we know economics are part of this, right? I've been owning a gym for 11 and a half years now. Like, it's hard to always like charge what you feel like you need to charge, but also you're trying to help people out. So level 2 is there. It's a little less of a financial commitment. You still get the in-body scan every 2 months. Again, we'll talk about the in-body at the end. We don't want that to be the focal point, but you still get a monthly phone call with a coach if you're on level 2, and it's probably going to be on the phone. We don't want to text back and forth too much, right? But a 15-minute phone call to say, hey, how is that? But you still get some macro guidance and some food quality guidance. I know that you guys feed off of conversation and listening, like I said, because you're good at it. Kayla, can you touch on level 2 a little bit, in that this is where I think it's a little more affordable for the general public. And sometimes that's all they need is that monthly check-in. They need like that little, like, hey, I'm going to give you a head start with these macros and a little bit of guidance on your food. And we'll do an in-body scan every 2 months. but no, I'm not going to check in on you every month. Where do you think the value of that is level 2 is? It's just like, hey, that monthly check-in, the macro plan kind of gets you going, but hey, you're kind of on your own a little bit more so there.
Yeah. This is for the person that has maybe done this, like has been in the realm of like nutrition, like maybe you haven't worked with someone, but you know enough and they're really motivated. You're really great at self-discipline, and you can take what I give you and like run with it. Not great for the person that's like, I have no idea like what a macro is.
Right.
But yeah, we're going to call you. It's going to be a 30-minute phone call to start. And then you get your personalized macros. Yes, the in-body scan, if you want, just to keep like a touch point of objective measure. And then at the end of the month, we'll check in with you via email. Different than weekly. So it's not a bad thing. It's just what do you want out of it, and how what do you have? I wouldn't even say time for. I mean, it could be a time issue if that's something that is tight for you, but you also have to be like ready for it, right? Yeah. I would say this is not for someone that's like half in, half out. I'm not sure if I want to do it. This is like, you're motivated. You already know you want to do this. You just need like a little push to get you there.
Yeah. Kelly brought up the word momentum earlier. I'm huge on momentum, life in general, whether, you know, looking at the gym behind Kelly right now, like trying to find a fitness momentum, like just suck it up for 2-3 weeks. And once it just becomes easier and easier as you get into the routine, what starts off as difficult, showing up to the gym, counting food prepping on a Sunday, it does start off difficult, but it becomes easier because of that word momentum. I kind of want to dive into that before we wrap this up of what do you view momentum as, Kelly? Is it, hey, you were perfect for a week and you're now going to have an easier week 2, or is it something different?
I think it's making people realize that they're not going to be perfect, and that they still can keep moving, and that they don't have to just give up because they didn't eat to their caloric goal 7 days of the week and come back to me and say, I was perfect. Right. No one's going to, I don't want that for you. That's not life, and that's not sustainable. And so that's what should keep, it's like I mentioned before, it's finding the things you did well rather than perfection, so that you're not going to get it week 1. I think we both really encourage weighing and measuring your food or using MyFitnessPal. It's a tool. It's not forever. And I do think that can be overwhelming to some people, but it's also very eye-opening. Yep. And so just, it helps us help you because it quantifies truly what you're eating, rather than you going in and saying, oh, I ate, 8 ounces of chicken. Well, was it cooked or was it raw? Like there's so many variabilities when you're getting started. But it's the small victories that I think acknowledging them keeps the momentum going, which is also the value of the check-in. It's calling those things out and capitalizing on what you're doing well to build for the weeks going forward.
Yeah.
Now, can one of those wins, Kayla, in regards to momentum, can that be an in-body scanner? Like, again, I don't want to anoint the in-body scanner as the end-all be-all. Like, at the end of the day, it's still a machine. It's still a computer. They even say themselves, it's not always 100% accurate, right? I can weigh myself there and weigh myself at home. Both expensive scales, and they're 4 pounds apart. Like, but it can give an objective guide, step 1 to step 2, 2 months apart. Hey, are we making some progress? Like, do you view InBody, Kayla, as something that it's a tool that can create a momentum for you, or teach you what's working, what's not?
Absolutely. I worked with someone for a year, and there were points like 3 months in, 6 months in, 7 months in, where they were really busy. They felt like there was a lot of setbacks, and we worked through them. But at the same time, they're like, I feel like I'm not like gaining progress. I feel like I'm not like moving forward. But we would come in, and every time they stepped on that scale, like per month, you could see fat loss go down, muscle mass go up.
That's awesome.
And then it was like, oh, whoa, like that's because they worked on the hard stuff. They worked on showing up every day at their best, at their capacity that they could give, even if it was 50% that day. Even if their kid had a baseball game and then they weren't home until 9 p.m. and they woke up for the 5 a.m. the next day.
Yeah.
Like, it was that little reminder of like, okay, I can do this even when things get hard.
Yep.
I could see also going the opposite way for some people too.
Yeah. I've been on that thing and it was not what I thought it was going to be. And it does, you can be upset and cry about it if you want, not going to judge you if you do, but at the end of the day, it's objective truth. Like, and it's not, you suck. It's like, all right, what can I do to change? What are some things that are not changing enough? What is it? Habit-based? Is it lifestyle-based? And I use that thing. I'm on that thing every 3 or 4 months. And lately, over the past 6 months, it's been going exactly the direction I've wanted to, because I don't want to lose a lot of weight and lose a lot of strength. I want to do it very slowly and still feel strong and still keep that muscle mass, which, as Kelly said earlier, we're losing it. Kayla, you're not there yet, but it's coming. Right? You're going to naturally lose muscle mass as you get older. And that's something we hear more and more now. There's more research on that now. There's more people aware of that now. And over the past 2 months, I've had 3 people from Outlast on that thing that scanned in in May. And the results were awesome. Like, down 7 pounds of fat, up 1.5 pounds of muscle. And like, if anyone doesn't know how much that is, like, that you will change completely how you look if you gain 1 pound of muscle and lose 7 pounds of fat. Yeah. And that's a big part of what a lot of people want goal wise are the aesthetics. So to wrap this up, I want to kind of just get your minds going, because I know you guys, sorry, you might miss the 1 p.m. kickoffs for week 2 in the NFL. So I'm sorry if that bothers you. But I want to read a post that's on the PWR Nutrition. It's not long, but this will kind of get your minds going to where I want it to go, because I want you to kind of end this with, what do you really want power to be? Why is it important? And where do we see this going from here? Okay, so at PWR Nutrition, we believe that nutrition is the foundation of both optimal wellness and peak performance. Our goal is to meet you where you are and coach you toward where you want to go. We believe that fueling your body isn't just about food. We focus on the whole human: nutrition, hydration, sleep, movement, mindset. We prioritize progress over perfection always. Lasting change comes from showing up consistently, not doing it flawlessly. We offer personalized coaching with real-life sustainable strategies tailored to your goals, lifestyle, and season of life. That's really, if you're trying to figure out what is power, that's all you need to read. And then you have to kind of, all right, is this for me? Do I want this? Kayla, what do you want power to be? Why is this important to you?
Yeah. A few words that come to mind: accessible, reliable, supportive, and diverse. I really wanted to be a place where people can come no matter what stage of life they're at, whether they're competing for a high-level CrossFit comp or they're here because they just set foot in the gym day one. We want to hear your story. We're here to serve you. We're not here to judge you or take away things that you love. We're only here to support you and build you up. I really do envision this being like, I'm different from Kelly. Kelly's different from me. And we should be, and you should find like your mojo with who works best for you. And then like eventually even like expanding in terms of power. But like, we want to be able to serve a wide variety of people here.
Kelly.
I think I would reiterate everything Kayla said. I think freedom too. I think food has the ability to monopolize a lot of our thoughts negatively. And I think that figuring out how to make food work for us is a very freeing thing. And I think that whether it's weight loss, wanting to put on muscle mass, or just how maintenance can work for you maximally and aesthetically, Kayla and I can support you in all of those things in a way that it does fit your lifestyle and it doesn't become this overwhelming thing that it may already be. And it just frees you up from thinking about that all the time to enjoying it and the purposes that it can serve for you and the celebrations and the other things that it can be in life as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you two are right on track with what this could be down the road. I know we always dream big and we're not always chasing big, right? But I think the results that you guys have brought to people already, the results that you are bringing people right now, I mean, that's where the truth is. You know, there's a lot in this industry, and I'm sure it frustrates you at some points. It frustrates me, not being a nutrition coach, but as a CrossFit owner, like how many just like bells and whistles and all this, like, you know, social media marketing and fancy this, fancy that. At the end of the day, it's a simpler process than we all think, but it's difficult. Mm-hmm. It's a difficult thing to do. And I think you have to have someone in your corner that knows what to do, but knows also how to talk and listen and relate to you. And I think that's where the foundation of power is. And that's why I think I have really big aspirations for the two of you. I've always said this to you guys. I think it's going to be as big as you want it to be. And it's because of who you guys are. And if you're on the fence, you're listening to this and you're saying like, hey, this is kind of speaking to me a little bit. I want to give this a shot. Don't wait for the right time. Don't wait for you to get back from a trip or wait for the holidays to be over. Throw that thought in the garbage. Start as soon as possible, because it just, all it does is you can open that. All it takes for you to open that door, and Kelly, Kayla are going to be right there, and they're going to, welcome you in and bring you to where you want to be, no matter what. All right. So Kayla, Kelly, thank you for your time on a Sunday. Really appreciate it. And we will put some more information on Spotify and on YouTube about where you guys can go. But again, if you want the best place to get some of our information, to reach out to us right away, _PWR Nutrition. And you can see some of the content that they've already been putting out. You'll see more and more as time goes. And that's a great opportunity to get in touch with us as well. All right. Thank you, ladies. We will see you this week.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, everybody, for taking the time out of your day to listen to the Herd Fit podcast. Be on the lookout for next week's episode.